Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our CMA Workshop training. This is Robert with Elite Ocean View Realty, guys. We have an interesting course today. We're going to learn the different ways that we evaluate properties as real estate professionals, not as appraisers. Remember, we're not appraisers. However, we can definitely do a great job at zeroing in on that property value that we're looking for either our seller or buyer. We are going to use a variety of services like Matrix MLS. We're also going to use iMAPP and RPR to achieve our goal of evaluating a property. If you have any questions, guys, please feel free, ask questions, unmute yourselves, ask questions. Otherwise, please try and remain on mute because we are recording our class and I will later upload our class into our YouTube channel. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. We are going to first cover the valuation of properties or the comps using Matrix. All right, so this is why I'm logged into Matrix. And again, Matrix can be found inside of your resource panel in Miami Realtors by clicking on CoreLogic Matrix. And later on, we will use iMAPP and we're also going to use RPR to get our property values. All right. So inside of Matrix, of course, you are in the MLS. That means that you get to search for properties in the MLS. And if you are representing a buyer, you can quickly run a CMA for a buyer inside of the MLS. If you're representing a seller, then of course you can search for comps for that property that you're trying to sell. All right. So I'm going to show you two ways that we can get a valuation or a CMA comparative market analysis inside of Matrix. Let's go ahead and begin by searching for a house. So we're going to go search RE1, RE2, and I'm going to go ahead and search for a house that's currently for sale. And we're going to try and get the comps for that home. And then I'm going to show you how to search for a property, comps for a property that's not for sale. All right, so first for one that is for sale, I'm just going to go ahead and select a single family home. Let's go off to the city of, let's go to Miami Shores. I don't know why I'm picking on Miami Shores so much lately. All right, so let's go to Miami Shores and let's click on results. All right, I'm just gonna go ahead and select a property right around $1 million. I don't want to go too expensive. All right, so let's go with this one that's priced at $1,049,000. All right, so when looking at a property or a listing like this, obviously you're gonna go through the photos. Very important that you see the photos, and if possible, go see the property in person with your clients so you can get a good feel for the property and its conditions. Knowing the conditions of the property is super important, right? We need to find comps, right? We need to find similar comps, but we also need to take into consideration the conditions of the subject property and how they may compare to the comps that we find. So this is the 1,347 square foot home. Notice the three differences in sizes. We have square feet living area at 1347, and we have a total square footage of 1695, and then we have an adjusted square foot of 1513. So why three? Well, square feet living area is the entire interior of the home that's livable space, that's considered livable space. The total square footage is the entire concrete structure of the home. And then the adjusted area takes into consideration parts of a garage, also parts of a backyard terrace, anything that's under a roof, maybe in the backyard, a terrace. All right. So I don't really see this property having a garage, but I'm sure it has well, there you go. That's a garage right there. So the adjusted square footage is taking into consideration a portion of that garage, and if there's any type of roof in the back, in the patio, it'll also take that into consideration. All right. So this property has been on the market now for 1 day. It's a brand new listing. Great. And what we're going to do is we're going to find comps for a property like this. All right. So we're gonna come here and see that this is a three-bedroom, two-bathroom. You have to remember that, and the address is 2 Northeast 108th Street. So normally what I like to do is I just like to copy this, right? I'm gonna go ahead and copy, right? We're gonna copy that address and we're gonna create a new search, right? We're gonna create a new search. We're gonna come here, we're gonna hit search, and we're gonna hit single family home, and we're gonna go active and we're gonna go closed 180 days. That is 6 months back. We're going to change our distance here to half mile, right? And then come over here. We're going to go ahead and paste here the address of the property and notice how the address shows up. 2 Northeast 108th Street in Miami Shores. We're going to select that address. Now in red, you should see map area selected. That means that when I click on map, I should be able to see right here in red the center location and then all the comps within a half a mile radius around that location. Now we're gonna come back to criteria because that's quite a bit of comps, right? It's 50 comps. And we are looking specifically for a three-bedroom, two-bathroom home. Now we cut our comps down to 25. And if you remember correctly, our square foot living area, square footage was right around 1,300 and change. So I'm going to do a range so we can get a more accurate reading on our comps. I'm going to do a range between 1,200 and 1,500 square feet. So now we have 7 comps, right? We have 7 comps. We're going to go ahead and click on results and see that we have here all active listings. Isn't that something, right? We have 7 active listings and no sales within the last 6 months. Is that a buyer's market or is that a seller's market?
Buyer's market.
Correct. It is a buyer's market. There's plenty of inventory and nothing is moving, right? There's nothing moving. I'm going
Yeah.
to go back to criteria and I'm just going to stretch this out to 365 days. Let's see if we pick up any results. We do. So within the last 6 months, there were no sales. But if I open it up to a whole year, so another 6 months, we actually picked up 8 sales. See here? Actives, right? Those were the actives. And then here we have close sale, close sale. All of these are close sales. What are the prices? The top price is 1,137,000 and the bottom price is forget about it, right? 210. All right. Could be a mistake or maybe not, right? Maybe not. What in the world is that?
210 is amazing number.
No, yeah, this house did not sell for $210,000. I'm so sorry. That has to be a mistake. All right. Any remarks coming up soon? Um, I'm intrigued. So I'm gonna click on iMAPP right here, quick, and see if that really was the sales price. Yeah. Seems like that was the sales price, $210,000 for a single family home in Miami-Dade County. That's amazing price. That's an amazing price. And look, there was a mortgage amount of 199,500. So seems like that was
Wow.
a real deal. That was a real deal. All right.
Estimate current value 33,000.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no.
3300. Yeah.
I'm sure the house is like in very bad conditions. We don't see the house on the inside, but good for the buyer. Maybe they are gonna go ahead and remodel and resell it, or maybe they're gonna live in it. Who knows? All right, so the story is that I'm not gonna use that one as a comparable, and I'm probably not even gonna use 310 either. All right, you saw the conditions of the subject property. So it's not fair. It's not fair to use those. We are, however, going to use this one. And by the way, these are 1/10 of a mile away. So pretty much neighbors, right? And then we'll use this one and then this one. We'll use 4 sales, right? And then for active listings, we're going to go ahead and use this one, which is 5 Northwest 107th Street. pretty much right in the same area, right? And that's for sale at 1,185,000. Then we have our subject property, 2 Northeast 108th Street, right? And then we don't select our subject property. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and select it. Who cares, right? But normally what you want to do is you want to get comps for your subject property, not include your subject property as part of the comps. But I'm going to include it anyways because everything else, I'm not really liking the price, especially if we're trying to justify the price. Going with a lot lower prices, it's just going to lower our value. All right. So I picked 3 active listings, which include the subject property, and then I picked 4 sold listings. Once you do that, right, and you are positive that these are the properties that you want to choose that are similar, right? They're all 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. They're all right around the same square footage, all right, and they're all in the same area. Then you guys can clean out the rest. I'm going to teach you a little trick on Matrix. When you click on refine down here, you want to go ahead and click on narrow. And when you hit narrow, it's going to go ahead and remove everything else, right? It's gone. Now it's not permanently gone. You guys can always click on up here where it says original results and you can get them back, right? But if you go back to refine and you click on narrow, that's going to go ahead and remove everything else. Now we're ready to go ahead and print our CMA. So we're going to go here to actions and we're going to click on print. Now notice there is a CMA button here. I will get to that next. Right now, I want to show you a shorter version of our CMA, which is clicking on print and then coming down below and selecting CMA one-line summary report and also your 3-up comparison. These are the 2 reports that you guys want to create when you're going to present a CMA to a buyer. Why a buyer? Well, guys, I mean, quite simply, we're looking for a property that's for sale. And since we're looking for a property that's for sale, then we are obviously representing a buyer, right? So we're gonna go ahead and click on print to PDF and let's take a look. All right, so here we have our CMA comparative market analysis. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see. We have our summary and we have list price 850, 1,049,000, 1,185,000. We have an average list price of 1,028,000. Our properties on the market have been now 55 days, 1 day and 50 days, right? And you have your price per square footage right here, 617 a square foot, 778 a square foot, 928 a square foot. Now, going down below, we have our sold or our sold prices, right? We have 980. This property sold in 13 days. Very lucky, right? 13 days. They sold at 98.49% of the original price. So at about 1.5% discount. This property here sold at $1,075,000. This property sold in only 30 days. It did sell for a little less. So it sold at 93.5% of the original price. This property here sold at $1,077,000. Again, this property sold at 93.5% of the original price. And this one took 73 days to sell. And then our last comparable, this property sold at 1,137,000 and it sold in 12 days. However, it sold at a very large discount. It sold at 87.5% of the original price. Look at the original price, $1,300,000. They ended up accepting a contract and ultimately closed on the property at 1,137,000. That could mean obviously that they were overpricing the listing, right? They were too high. And considering all the other original prices, it certainly looks like their list price was a little high, right? And they sold pretty much around where everyone else is selling, right? That could mean that, or it could mean that the property had some renovations and some negotiations took place and some, additional money was credited or lowered on the price. All right, so this is your CMA. It comes together with your price per square foot. So right here we have $797 a square foot. That is your average price per square foot. So guys, if you want to determine the value of your home based on average price per square foot, then you're simply going to multiply $797 times the square footage of your home, right? Multiply the average price per square foot times the size of your subject property, which was like 1,300 and change. Well, I'll see it right here. It's up here. The square footage is 1,347. So multiply 1,347 times the average price per square foot of 797, and you're going to get your average price. And then if you guys want to do the high end, if you want to go towards the high end, the high price per square foot is 867. And then on the low end, the lowest price per square foot of our sales is 739 a square foot. This comparable or this CMA comes together with a side-by-side comparison. So if you have a buyer and you guys want to present a CMA that is quick and efficient and it has a lot of detail, then you can use Matrix, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and close it. And let's go ahead and click on back to results. And remember how we got there. We hit print. And we did the CMA one-line summary report. You hold down your control key and you do the three-up comparison. Now I'm going to go back to results. And now let's go ahead and show you the actual CMA in Matrix. So over here, we have CMA. If you need something more detailed, if you need to present something that looks like a professional presentation, right? You need to impress your client, then click on CMA. Usually we reserve the CMA for a listing presentation. Now, this is a property that is currently on the market. So this is not a listing presentation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to find comps for a property that's not on the market. All right. So for that, we're going to go back to search, RE1, RE2. We're going to do active. We're going to do closed, 0 to 180 days. And we're going to do single family home. Now, I want to ask you, does anyone here have a property, a single family home that you want me to run some comps for? Linda, you okay?
Mhm.
Emra, Fabiola?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'll use a house that I normally use in my presentations. So I'm gonna come up here and we're gonna go ahead and switch this off to half mile, and we're gonna go 1020, which is 1020 OBISPO Ave, and this is in Coral Gables. This is a house I know very, very well, and I've been using it for quite some time in my presentations. So it's 1020 Obispo Avenue. It is off the market, right? And this happens to be a 4 bedroom and 3 bathroom home. So let's do 4-3. We're down to 10 matches, and this property, square feet living area. This property, let's go ahead and put in 3,500 square feet to 4,500 square feet. All right, zero. Okay, nope. Let's do 2,500 square feet to 3,500 square feet. All right, we should have some matches. You know what? Let's just not use the square footage right now. Let's stay with our 10 matches. I'll tell you why I didn't use the square footage, guys. I mean, there's a 4,800 square foot home right here for sale. And then there are smaller homes, all smaller homes. My subject property is actually 3,200 square feet, right? 3,200 square feet, and these are all smaller. These are all smaller. All right, so right here we have 2.6, 2.7, 2.1, then we have 1.2, 1.4, right? And then we have these active listings. Now, if your subject property, right, is in good conditions, is in great conditions, and you think that they compare to all of these, just go ahead and select them all, and let's go ahead and run our CMA. Now, in my opinion, this one is a little too expensive. 4.2, I'm going to remove that one. Okay. I know 1020 Obispo Avenue, and I'm pretty sure if I click on this, it's not going to compare. All right. It just isn't going to compare. It doesn't. Right. 1020 Obispo Avenue is a great home, but it's not like that. So I'm going to go back here and oops. I'm going to go back to results and I'm going to click on agent single line up here and we're going to make sure we don't use that one. All right, let's do our CMA. So we're going to click on CMA right here. You guys can select a client if you want, right? Or you don't have to. You can select an language, English or Spanish, and then you can give it a description, and then we move on to the next page. Up here, pages. I already set up my default pages. My default pages are cover sheet with agent photo. I also have a list price and sales price chart, CMA map, professional report, pricing recommendation, importance of pricing, and benefits of using a realtor. All of these are over here on the available pages. Open up cover sheet, open up subject and adjustments, open up comparables, open up static, and open up map. These are all available pages that you can use in your report. Choose your favorite ones, right? Like practice this. Go over and choose your favorite one. Once you do so, right? Once you have chosen your favorite ones, then you guys can always set it as a default like I have. These are my default pages. Okay. Next, click on subject. Is the subject property part of the MLS listings? It's not, right? It's not. See here, you guys can enter an MLS number or you can search for this property right here. Or you're going to have to type in the property fields manually, which we are going to have to. So let's click on type and let's put in here 1020 Obispo Avenue. 1020 Obispo Avenue, Coral Gables, 33134, County, Florida, right? So you've done all of this. And if you want to upload a photo, you can upload a photo. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload a random photo of a house, guys. This is not 1020 Obispo Avenue, but I just want to go ahead and upload a random photo so we have something to go by. All right. Give me 1 second here. Just gonna go with this photo here. All right. Just gonna go with this photo here. It's not even of a house. Then add some remarks and then also locate your the location on a map. So we're gonna click on locate and we're gonna go ahead and put in here 1020 Obispo Avenue. 1020 Obispo Ave, right? And this is in 33134. We're gonna click on locate and it's gonna find it right there. And now we're gonna click on done. All right, that easy. All right, cover sheet. Part of my cover sheet will be the photo of the property that we uploaded, also our information with our photo. Comparables, well, we chose our comps already. These are our comps. Map location, you'll see here on the map where your subject property is located and where all the comps are located, reference to the subject property. Right here, big in blue, that is your subject property, and these are all of our comps around it. Pricing. All right, we're going to recommend the price. So based on a low of 1.2 and a high of 2.7, we have an average of almost 2.2 with the median of a little bit higher. I know that Obispo Avenue, 1020 Obispo Avenue should be selling somewhere around $2.7 million. All right. So we are going to suggest a list price. All right. That is a suggestion that should make sense based on what you see over here. A low of 1.2, a high of 2.7. Where do you think your subject property fits? Discuss it with your seller. And then, you're going to come here and you're going to put in dollar amount, $2,700,000. Right. That is my suggested list price for this property. And we're pretty much done now. We're going to go ahead and click on finish and we're going to do the CMA. This is,
Sorry, we are helping for the buyer right now, right?
no, we're helping the
Or
seller.
the seller?
We're-
Seller, okay.
You don't do none of this for a buyer. A buyer, you're just going to look for comps, right? You're going to find comps and share that with them so we can see if the subject property that they're trying to purchase, if it's overpriced or not. Okay.
Okay.
For a seller, we're trying to come up with a price. And this is why I suggested a price based on my opinion of the home and how it compares to the others. Okay. Uh, Here is our listing presentation. So for example, last Thursday, I went to a listing presentation. I met with a for sale by owner in person at their house, and I took a listing presentation and I took a full biography on my career, right? About me, about our company, and I took a whole market analysis. Why? I wanted to introduce myself to them and put a good presentation on with hopes that I get the listing, right? So I took one of these, okay? So we have here a comparative market analysis with my picture and my information. That's the first page. We have here some interesting stats on a chart. Then right here we have the CMA map. Here we have details about every single comparable we chose to be part of our report. And then right here we have another chart letting us know in different colors our active listings. In different colors our sold listings. All right, so we have some more information that supports our pricing. And then here we have our pricing recommendation. Remember how I wrote $2.7 million? Look what happens. It prepares a little paragraph for you that says, after analyzing your property and comparable properties on the market now, recent sales and comparable properties that failed to sell, I conclude that in the current market, your property is most likely to sell for $2.7 million. So it does a pricing recommendation page for you. And then this is some static flyers that I included in my CMA that talks about the importance of pricing, right? Asking price, if it's high, right? Percentage of buyers, market value, percentage of buyers, below market value, percentage of buyers. Obviously, if you're pricing your property below market value, you're going to get a larger percentage of buyers. I mean, that's just normal. And then over here, benefits of using a realtor. I love this because this one represents who we are and how we are going to work for them. So it talks about the importance of pricing, marketing the property. It talks about showing the property, adding security to the property, negotiations of pricing, and monitoring the whole closing process. So it's an important page to keep. All in all, guys, this was 15 pages long. It's something that you'll use with a seller. There's no need to use this with a buyer, right? With a buyer, they're looking to buy 1020 Obispo Avenue. We just need to do the first report that we saw, right? The CMA one-line summary report and your three-up comparisons. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and close that out, and we're gonna move into iMAPP. I want to show you guys. iMAPP is right here. iMAPP is also in your gateway. All right. iMAPP is public records. You have access to every single county in Florida. Right? So if you want to know about a property in Florida, no matter the county, go ahead and choose the county and go look for the property. So we have tax search, MLS search, and foreclosure search. We do have an iMAPP class where we go in detail how to use the program. Today, I just want to go ahead and show you how to run some comps. So right here, we have property address. Once again, I'm just going to go ahead and put in 1020 Obispo Avenue, and let's go ahead and click on enter. All right, so we have our subject property here. This is a 7,500 square foot lot. And then coming down here, you'll see that this living area, remember I told you it was 3,200 square feet, is slightly under that. The living area is 3,164 square feet. It is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. Okay. Now, iMAPP gives you an estimated value of $2 million. Don't always go by this value. It's not always going to be the correct value. What you want to do on iMAPP always is click on Find Comparables, which is on the right. I'll tell you, this is my go-to program each and every time I want to run comps. Why? Because it's fast. As long as you know how to manipulate the program, it's going to be fast. So we have our comparison criteria that we're using. 20% difference in lot square footage. 20% difference in living area square footage. Sold within, I'm going to go sold within half a mile. Notice how I had it within same subdivision. All right, it stays exactly where you left off the last time. So now if I switch it to half a mile, it's going to stay at half a mile. If I switch it to a mile, it's going to stay at a mile. So last time I used iMAPP, I had it at same subdivision. We're going to do half mile and sold in the last 6 months. We're going to click on update criteria. Are there any comps? There's actually one. Right? Here's our subject property. Here's one comparable here on the right-hand side. And that one is giving our home a value of almost $2.5 million. So you see, $2.7 million was not out of range. I actually think that would be a fair list price on this property. Now, if you want more than just one comparable, then come here and do 1 mile. All right, I'd prefer to go out 1 mile versus 1 year. So I'm going to go out 1 mile and I'm going to click on update criteria. And within 1 mile, I only still have one sale. Now, if I do this 1 year, which I had to do that on the MLS, if you recall, right? Now we're gonna get a lot more comps, right? Now we're gonna get a lot more comps. Now, how do we get this average number to go higher? Well, look for the lowest sale and remove it, right? Look for the lowest sale. So we have 4 comps. 1,000,004, 1,000,006, 2.15, and then 2.75. If I remove the lowest comp, right, that number is going to increase. Now we're looking at 2.5. If I remove the highest comp, then the highest number is going to decrease. Now we're looking between 1.8 and 2.5 with an average of 2,142,000. So learn how to manipulate and remove or add or include comps to help you determine the value of the home. All right. If I just include all 4 because they're all within an acceptable criteria, I am looking at 2,277,000. If I remove the lowest price, because in our opinion, for example, this property probably does not compare, then you're going to increase your price. If you remove the next lowest comp, then we're going to get an even higher price, right? Now we have that. And then, of course, if you remove the highest comp and you're left with the one comparable that we had to begin with, we're looking at $2.5 million. All right. So I feel very comfortable in knowing that the property is probably worth $2.5 million. Okay. I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to do this now for a condo. Okay. Let's go here to property address and let's put in 50 Biscayne Boulevard, right? I'm going to put in here 50 Biscayne Boulevard. This is a building in downtown. We're going to just go ahead and pick on any unit. There are 541 units in this building. Let's pick unit 4601. It's a 2-2. So I'm going to come here, click on the little blue icon on the right, and it's going to open up the property. So let's say we have a client buying unit 4601, or we have a client that wants to sell unit 4601. Find comparables. And guys, remember how I told you it leaves off where you last left it? Well, I last left it at 1 mile, 1 year. Now I'm going to go back to 6 months, and I don't need all of these comps. I need the ones inside the same building. So we're going to do same subdivision. Click on update criteria, and we're looking at 2 sales in the last 6 months. Our price range goes from 591 to 605 with an average of 597. Okay? We have 3 comparables actually, not 2. Why does it say 2 here? I don't know why it says 2, but it's supposed to be 3. All right, there's 3 comps. There's 595, 605, and 640. All right. So stay within the same subdivision. If you want to see stats going back a year, go back a year, hit update. And now we have all of these comps. We have 10 sales. We have 10 sales, all at 50 Biscayne. Now, notice the size range. 1256 is our subject property. Right here, we have 1256, 1256, 1358, 1322, 1357, 1256. What if we want to stay with the same unit size? Then come here to your criteria and look for living area square footage and switch it to 5%. 5% difference. Update criteria. We have our 1256s only. So based on our identical units of 1256, we're looking at an average price of $670,000 going back a year. Okay, going back a year. Go back 6 months, and it actually dropped to 600,000. So this is why you never want to go back a year, because maybe prices are dropping. And in this case, it seems like prices are dropping, right? Because at a year, our average was 670, but at 6 months with 2 comps, our average is 600,000. All right, guys, iMAPP is very simple. You can print the PDF over here on the right-hand side and present it to your client. It's simple. It's just plug in the address, click on find comparables, and learn to manipulate the results so you can get the right result. If you're looking at a property on the MLS, and I come over here to the MLS, and I'm going to go ahead and search for, say, 50 Biscayne. Right? 50 Biscayne. And let's go ahead and do a 2-2 right there, unit 3002. Unit 3002 is a much larger 1,789 square foot, we're going to click on iMAPP, right? Notice where I clicked on iMAPP, right up here. Click on iMAPP, it opens up the property. We click on Find Comparables, and we're going to pretty much struggle to get comps within a 5% square foot range. We're going to do 20%. And we are going to struggle. We picked the largest unit in the building. Or the largest two-bedroom unit in the building. Ignore square footage. All right, so we have all these smaller units come up, right? All these smaller units. Let's remove the very small units. Let's remove these. And let's stay with the 1,256 and the 1,358. So based on that value, we're looking at 843 as a low, 861 as a high, with an average of 850. Now you're looking at that price and saying, man, that's a high list price. They've been on the market now for a little over 4 months, right? 127 days. And have they dropped their price? Their original list price was 1,230,000, and they're still at 1,230,000. They need to start lowering that price. There aren't any examples in the building for that price. Okay, now if I go a year out, right? If I go a year out, we are going to see some examples. See that? 1789, 1789, 1789. So maybe that's what we needed to do. All right, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the square foot living area and do 5%. Hit update criteria. Now we're looking at 925, 1,090,000 with an average price of 1,028,000. They're still asking for a little bit too much, 1,230,000. They need to come down on their price. All right. We had a sale of 1,050,000. We had a sale of 925. We had a sale of 1,090,000, and we had another sale of 1,050,000. So the comparables are showing that the property should be around 1,050,000, maybe 1.1. All right, but not 1,230,000. That price needs to come down a little bit. All right, and the facts are showing it. Obviously, guys, conditions of the home are going to make a huge deal. Also, don't worry too much about the view. Notice that we are in unit 3002. That's line 02. Our comparables are also line 02. All right, we got the same views. And we got here 28th floor, 33rd floor, 48th floor. We're on the 30th floor. So it's not like the 30th floor has a superior view to these other three units. They have the same view, right? And two of the units are at higher levels. Okay? Any questions on running comps on iMAPP? It's very simple. Very simple. All right. No questions. All right, cool. Let's now finish our program with RPR. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you that you guys can always open RPR from any listing. So if you're looking at this listing, you guys can always click on property report right here and you can open up RPR. But I'm actually going to show you how to run a CMA on RPR for a property that's not on the market. All right. So go back to RPR. How do you get there? You can get it through here, right? And it's going to open up RPR. You're going to need to register for the first time. And once you register, it opens up automatically. All right, you guys that are in my training, nobody really has a house that you want me to look up and run a valuation for. If you don't, I'm going to go ahead and use a random house. We're all good? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use a random house. Okay. Let me see if I can think of an address. Let's think of an address. I know which address I want to use. I'm going to go ahead and use 764 Northwest
I
34.
have a very quick question. We shouldn't use I tried the yesterday, like a put in the comparable for the retail. We shouldn't use it for the retail, right? For the comparable for our client.
RPR has comps of residential sales. And if you want commercial, you need to switch it off to commercial right here. Okay, so right now we're in
Okay.
residential. If you want commercial, you need to switch it off here to commercial. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Let me go to this address. I guess at some point. No, not that one. Not that one. All right. Let's do this. I'm very familiar with this property. 752 Northwest 34th Avenue. All right. This is a multi-family home. This is a multi-family home, and I'm gonna go ahead and run comps on this property. We're gonna go ahead and see that there is an estimated value of 874. Now we only have 3 stars on our estimated value. I would feel much more confident if we had 5 stars. Either way, guys, don't go with this value. That's not the value that you're after. You're after an actual CMA value. So we're gonna come down here. We're gonna click on Create CMA. All right, create CMA. Confirm the facts of the home. Okay, and come here and click on Confirm Facts. We're gonna click on Find Comparables. Actually, it's listed as a single family home. I thought it was a multi-family home. Anyways, it's a single family home. Single family, active, pending, active under contract and close. Let's do 6 months and let's make sure our bedrooms equal to the subject property and our bathrooms equal to the subject property. Right? 4343. The square footage of the home is quite large. I know it's a multifamily, guys. This is a duplex. This has actually it's a triplex. It has 3 units. I may have picked the wrong property to use, but anyways, let's try this. Living area square footage between 2,100 and 3,600 square feet. Lot size, make sure that we check lot size. All right. And now come down here and hit search. Are there any comps in the general area that have sold or are active? The map says yes. There's a comparable here. There's one over here. There's one here, one here, one here, and then one over here. I am not going to use that one. That's too far, right? That's even on the other side of the 836 highway. So I'm gonna draw a shape. We're gonna draw a box. And our box is gonna be like this. Let's concentrate on these. That's too far, right? Let's stay in this area. Search in this area. We have one sale and we have 3 active sales. Based on one sale, we're looking at 833,000. Remember the estimated value was 850, right? The estimated value was 850, I believe. I don't see it here, but I believe it was 850. Well, we have here 833. If you include now the active listings, did it hurt our value or improve our value? Well, I'll tell you one thing, it brought down the minimum to 678, but it also increased our max to 1.1. We hit update valuation and close, we're going to now get an average of 837. So even if I chose one property, it was right around 830. By choosing all of them, we're still right around 837. So this must be the value of the home. Now, if I click on edit, right? If I click on edit and I go and I remove the lowest comparable, the one that brought my price down, 599, right? Remove that one. Now we're between 678 and 1.1, and naturally our average is going to rise. Let's take a look at our average now. Our average climbs to almost 900K. We're looking at 885,000. All right. So I'm going to go back and edit one more time, and we're going to modify our search, and I'm going to look for comps within 1 year. See if we have any other sales that we can use. And the answer is no. I don't have any other sales. That's the only sale in the last year. So this must be it. Unless you guys want me to go further out, I don't think we should go further out. I think that these are our comps. I think if an appraiser comes here and runs comps and does a study, they're going to pretty much come up with the same price. I'll tell you, I sold a property a month ago in this same block, and I sold it for $850,000, and it's also a multifamily. One of our colleagues also sold a property in this block 2 weeks ago, and they sold a multifamily, a duplex for $800,000. So that's the going rate, right? That's the going price. I am keeping an eye out on this 752 Northwest 34th Ave just in case they want to sell, right? Now, you guys can always go to number 4 and click on edit and recommend a price that is different than the 885. So if you think the subject property is in better conditions and deserves a much higher price, well, look, your range goes up to $1.1 million. So what if you think you should be right around $1,050,000? Well, then change it. Come here, hit edit in number 4 and recommend a price of 1,050,000. While that's the average, we believe that the subject property is better than the average. So we take it up to 1,050,000, right? Same thing goes if your average is 885 and you know your subject property needs renovations, it needs work, it needs to be rebuilt, then you're not going to sell it higher than the average. You're probably going to sell it lower than the average, and you want to recommend a fair price on the property. All right, so after you do your professional recommendations, you're going to click on create a report, and we're going to create a seller's template. Why a seller's template? I am representing a seller in this case. You have a buyer's template, and you also have a CMA template. I'm just going to go with a seller's template.
Robert, I have a question. It shows if we recommend in that price and speculated like as we deducted, let's say it's 900,000, it's gonna take in 10 months to 12 months, right? Because in last 1 year it sells like a 5 6 properties, so like it's gonna be the
I hope
7 to 10 months, we can say that.
the numbers say that, but I hope not. I mean, I sold my property in 5 months, and it was right on that
Okay.
clock. And it was a duplex, a duplex with a swimming pool, and it took 2 months. I mean, 5 months to sell. The other property that one of our colleagues sold at the end of the block, that one took almost a year. It took 300 days. That's just the way the market is behaving in this area. Not every area is going to be the same, but I'm still going to go with a higher price, just to try it out. Doesn't mean that we don't lower our price. I know that 752 Northwest 34th Ave has 3 units. It's a triplex. And it also has a swimming pool. The main house has a swimming pool. So I know it should be higher, right? Like $1 million. Report title. I'm not going to give it a title. You can give it a title if you want. And then, guys, choose the elements of the report that you want. All right. All the elements of the report are over here. Okay. So, property summary, you're currently choosing 5 out of 7 possible things that you want to add. All right. I'm going to remove the AVM. I don't need to see an estimated value. I'm going to remove that. On the map, all right. Do you want to show a map? Yeah, let's show the aerial map. Photos. It says we're using 27 out of 50 photos. No, guys, no. Use the first photo. All right. Use the first photo. If you want to use all the photos, you're going to make a larger report, obviously. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. And we're using 1 out of the available 50 photos. Market trends, neighborhood information, school information. Notice how it's 0 and 0. A seller's template, all right, is for a possible or prospective seller. They don't need to know anything about the neighborhood or the schools. They're selling the house. But in a buyer's template, you do want to present information about the neighborhood and the schools in the area. All right, just keep that in mind. Please attend our RPR class. You're going to learn a whole lot about RPR using this program. Okay. Market activity, pricing summary, CMA, refined value, pricing strategy. Notice the refined value. I didn't make any adjustments to the property. There was no adjustments needed. So no refined value. All right. I think we're done. We're just going to go ahead and click on download. And it's building my report. This is the report I took with me to my for sale by owner listing presentation last week. I took this report with me because I wanted to, I wanted to make sure that I present or I leave at least a good impression on not just myself as a professional, but also their property and their property value. All right. So it has the one photo that you chose with your contact information and your photo and our logo. And then it has here our CMA value is 1,050,000. All right. It has the one photo once again, and it has here market trends. All right. So we're looking at 10 and a half months of inventory. 10 and a half months of inventory. So that's a lot, right? It's a buyer's market. And then just go through the entire report. It's an excellent way for you to present a full-blown market study with your CMA, your comps. Here are your comps, right? There's your comps. Pricing strategy. The median price is 750. The highest price is 1.1. All right. Our average ended up being 1,050,000. The original estimated value was 874. I thought it was 850, but no, the estimated value originally was 874. All right, guys. This ended up being about 16 pages, kind of the same as the one that I did in the MLS. Choose which is your favorite one. They're both great, and they're both going to work out really well for your next listing presentation. All right, guys, that is how you run a CMA in RPR. Again, attend our RPR class to learn more about how to run different reports because there in the RPR class, we will go over the buyer's template. We will go over the seller's template. We will go over different templates. Okay. All right, folks. So I did record today's class. I will make it available inside the YouTube channel later on this afternoon so you guys can review. Does anyone have any questions before we wrap up?
Thank you, Robert.
This was meant to be a class on valuating properties, learning the different ways that you guys can find value for a property. Keep in mind, guys, we are not appraisers, but we're always going to run this style report, which is a CMA, comparative market analysis. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us. I want to wish everyone a happy Tuesday, and we'll see you on Thursday for our form simplicity class. So on Thursday, we're going to be learning how to manage our transactions, build our transactions for our sales, and getting our contracts signed by our clients and much more. So that'll be Thursday at 10 a.m. All right, guys. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good day.
Bye now.
Bye bye.